Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Mark Roberti, and this is the podcast for entrepreneurs who are looking for the breakthrough for their businesses. We all face difficult situations as we grow our businesses and pursue the work-life balance. Some of these difficulties are more challenging than others, but we must find the strength to perform under these difficult circumstances. In this episode, you'll learn how to find extraordinary strength in the midst of difficulties. Today's guest is a motivational speaker and author of the book, Courage Within You. In the book, she helps people build their courage to step up to challenges, fears, and barriers in life. Today, she helps people in discovering their true inner power. She teaches people how to better understand struggles and hardships of life and turn them into that power. Today's guest for episode 113 of the Breakthrough Success Podcast is none other than Silvia Turonova. Silvia, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Silvia, I'm also really excited to get into this show, and I love the concept because we're all going to face challenges at certain parts of the journey and we need to overcome them. But I'd love to get some backstory first. So why did you write the book Courage Within You?
Well, it all, goes back to my childhood. I came from a low-income family, and, it was always like, I felt that it was always some type of battle. I had to endure always some type of challenges, and in a very young age, I left my home and I started to live on my own. And then I did anything I could, to kind of never live like a child, never had that type of lifestyle. So I came to the United States 6 years ago, and I really came just with I remember I had $500 in my pocket, and I didn't really know what I will do or, how they all go. I just knew that I want a better life. I want more opportunities, and I want to help my family. So with all that, I knew that I have to be brave and that I have to have a courage to go after what I want. And as I was, as I started to live like that here, it was, a lot of ups and downs. And then 2 years before I wrote the book, I found myself broke. I was living in the United States, but I was very far away from what I actually wanted. I was struggling. My personal life was also really bad. So, then one day when I was thinking what I'm going to do, what I can do to get out of this misery, to get out of this situation. And then I created a blog, Courage Within You, which then transformed to a book. But I got inspired to help others based on my own struggle. Because I was reading a lot of books. I was watching a lot of motivational videos, since I knew that I have to change my mindset. I knew that I can only change my life if I change my mindset based on everything, whether it was professional life or personal life at that time. So I started a blog, and then that's how the book came to life 2 years later.
And I really love hearing stories about someone in this struggle, but then deciding to help others who are in that struggle, as you did with your book, Courage Within You, because we're all facing certain difficulties in our lives, certain challenges as well. And I'm wondering, how can we find the strength to persevere through these difficulties? I mean, I know you've had plenty yourself just at the starting point of this conversation, but how do we find that strength?
You have to change your perspective. You have to change the way how you look at life, because this is one of the things I talk about in the book. It depends only how you see it. If you think that you've been given difficulties because this is how you're supposed to live, or because you don't deserve better, your life will unfold, in proportion to that belief. If you believe that you've been given hardships and struggles so you can help others, so you can build something bigger, so you can take care of your family when you're able to do it, your life will unfold in proportion to the struggle. So for me, everything is just perspective. Because the moment when I changed my perspective, don't get me wrong, I mean, I was stuck in my struggles, I thought I am the tough kid. type of thing. But, I was just bitter because of my life and because of everything. I was always asking myself, why do I have to go through this? And that's why I never actually went through any transformation, because, the question I asked myself was really wrong. The moment when I changed my perspective and I said, you know what, I struggle, I am broke, beyond broken. My personal life is horrible, nothing is working out. But you know what? Let me find a benefit in that pain. Let me find a benefit in that struggle. That's when my life started to transform. That was the breaking point for me, when I understood how this pain and struggles and everything actually works. Because each and every time in your life, all the time, you're going to be dealing with some struggles. Like, there is no life without problems. No matter how much money you have, maybe your marriage or relationship is, great. There is always something you have to deal with. So the moment when you change your perspective, everything will change with it.
Now, it's a great tactic to being able to find some benefit within the struggle. And I feel like it's easier to comprehend that, like, when you're not struggling versus when you are deep into that struggle. And you were pretty deep into the struggle and you had to get your way out. But how did you find the benefit within the struggle? Because I feel like it's something we know that we should be doing, but when we're in that struggle, we just don't think about looking for a benefit.
You know what? It was when I struggled, I was in the pain. And a lot of people are in the pain. And the benefit I found was that while maybe I was hurt, or I was very uncomfortable, this actual pain was pushing me to change, to take action, to find a way, to brainstorm what I can do to make myself feel better. That was really, sometimes when I say it, people get a little bit, like, no one wants to feel pain. Who wants to feel pain? But this is exactly that benefit is in the pain. There is the power we all have in the pain. And if we can focus on, okay, I am feeling this way, I am feeling frustrated, or I am feeling pain from my financial situation, let's say, what can I do about it? Because, it becomes intolerable. And at some point, you're like, I can't deal with this anymore. And that's when those biggest breakthroughs happens in people's lives.
And I do agree with asking questions that initiate action instead of why me, why is this happening to me? Because the questions we ask ourselves do have a big impact on what we are capable of. But at some points, like, part of the struggle is it's not just going downhill. That's part of the struggle. It's also that sense of feeling stuck and that we're still at the same level. We haven't accomplished things that we set out to accomplish. So how can we continue to believe in ourselves when these difficulties that we're going through make us feel stuck with where we've been at for a long time?
First thing, you have to believe that there is something better. Like, you have to, for me, that was the first thing I was doing, was having that vision that, you know what, I struggle now, and I can struggle tomorrow, but I believe that there is something else what can help me. And the second thing is definitely taking action. We can't just sit and just wish and hope. That's all like inside, but we have to take an action. You again ask yourself, how can I get there? What can I do? And once you start creating that momentum, or only if you experienced it for once, like, let's say you don't believe, you can get out of a bad financial situation, because that was my struggle for many years. So if you live in it and you believe in it, then, it defines you. But the moment you decide to take a step, and the moment you feel for the very first time that, what if everything I've believed, it's wrong? For the first time, when you start to believe that maybe I can do better, that's another thing which will give you the strength to keep going. So it's definitely the belief and it's the action, because you have to start believe that something better can happen for you. I can tell you that, don't worry, Mark, it's going to be okay. If you don't feel it inside, it's not going to change a lot.
I definitely agree that you have to have that belief, but also to take action, because taking action will fuel that belief and get you closer to where you want to be at. But how can we take purposeful action? Like, there are a lot of actions that we could take, but some of them put us in the wrong direction, some in the right direction. How do we take more of the effective types of action?
Well, one of the things I do is to kind of set up a long-term goal and something what I want to happen in 5 years, let's say. And then when I set this goal, based on that goal, I start to create a certain plan. How do I want to get there? Like different steps, what I can do. Not something what happens in a month or a week or a year, but something what is like, what do I really want? And then just find a way, how to accomplish this goal. And I
And
just, I'm sorry.
my bad.
For me, like the big thing was that I saw my family struggling, and I said that was my motivation. That became my purpose, that I do not want to see my family struggle anymore. So that was a huge motivation for me to really do whatever it takes.
I love how you attached a reason to the goal, and like something like helping out family. I feel like if you hold family dear to your heart, if you cherish the people you have because you don't know how long you're going to have them, I mean, that definitely will make a big difference on your ability to achieve success. It's based on the amount of reasons that you give yourself to ignite action and to keep yourself going. But as we do keep going on the different treks that we're on, I feel like not everyone is able to reach their full potential. And I think part of it is because our full potential is a moving target. But nevertheless, Sylvia, what do you believe holds most people back from reaching their full potential?
I would say that it's two things. It's a lack of belief, because I know, as I was growing up, for many years, I did not believe things like I can go to college. And now when I look back, it sounds ridiculous, but I literally did not believe that I have what it takes to go to college. That I'm not one of those people, that I'm, not smart enough, that I'm not, I don't have enough money for it, or so and so and so. And then the second thing I would say, it is fear. Like, we don't know what is on the other side, and sometimes to move out from the comfort zone, it's very challenging, because we're like, okay, this is what I have right now, and it's not really what I want, but it's good enough, and I'm gonna stay here, because what if the unknown is worse than what I have right now? So also, I think, is that fear from, we don't know what is going to happen if we make a change, or if we move beyond that. So we kind of tend to stay in this comfort zone, in this one spot, and we don't really reach that full potential, as you said.
Getting out of that comfort zone is definitely really important for being able to unlock your full potential. I mean, like with any type of goal worth pursuing, you're going to face challenges along the way. But before you can face those challenges, you do have to get out of the comfort zone. Now, it's easier for people who have more experience with getting out of the comfort zone, but some people may feel like they're stable with where they are, but not happy, as you mentioned before, the good enough mentality. But how do you recommend people do get out of their comfort zone? Do you little by little, or do you recommend like full yanking out of the comfort zone? What would your approach be for that?
You know what? I think we need to do it like one step at a time, so we don't get overwhelmed, or it's like, it's not so crazy for us. And one of the things I was doing when I felt kind of lazy, or, I felt that fear, was me visualizing the picture of staying where I am right now, or me visualizing the picture of my family in the future living the same way as I did. And that scared me very much. It was very scary for me. Like, I tried to create more fear from my present situation, to feel that fear when I look at, okay, this is what you're going to get if you don't put in the work. And that was for me more scary. That was for me scarier than actually taking action. That was one of the things which helped me to move forward, or it's still helping me to this day.
It definitely comes down to reasons. The more reasons you give yourself to take action, the more likely you are to take it. And the less reasons you give yourself, the less likely you are to take action. And I do feel that you do have to give yourself a lot of reasons to take action, especially if you're jumping out of a comfort zone that you have fallen in love with. So I really love that idea. And one of the ways that I believe we can get a lot of great ideas is not just listening to podcasts, but also reading books. So, Silvia, with that in mind, I'm wondering if you could share with us 3 great books that you believe would have a positive impact on us.
That's a really good question. I love reading, and my absolute favorite right now is from Vishen Lakhiani, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, which is really great book when, especially the way how he talks about goals and the goals which are for the short term and the long term. That was really, really inspiring for me. Then another book which I'm currently reading is from Amy Morin. It is 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do, which is also really good for, when you want to do like a self-check of, okay, am I behaving, in the right way? Am I behaving in a way which contributes to my life, And then another one, since I know that you have a lot of people who have a business or plan to, get into this area of business, it is Ditch Your Average Job, Start an Epic Business, and Score the Life You Want, from Daniel Di Piazza, which I found really useful when I was reading it about half a year ago, when I was starting out with my business.
Silvia, thank you for sharing with us those 3 great book recommendations. Breakthrough Success Listeners, you can find those books and the show notes over at markgilberti.com/E113. And before we wrap this episode, I'd love to flip the tables a little bit. So, Silvia, what is one question that you believe we need to be asking ourselves more often?
I think it is, what's in it for me when it comes to struggles? When it comes to some challenging situation, to ask yourself, what's in it for me, so you can find more of those benefits in it and you can move faster, than focusing on the actual problem and how frustrating and painful it is for people. So that's one of my favorite questions I ask myself very often.
And I feel like it's a question that a lot of people ask themselves, but not in the way that you pointed it out. I mean, that's a really great way to view any type of challenge, any type of pain or difficulty, because you're looking for the light, that glimmer of light, which can grow as you continue to focus on that instead of the dark difficulty or whatever it is you're dealing with. But I love how you ask what's in it for me, in a sense where you're not focusing on all the bad things. You're trying to find the good in the challenge you're dealing with. And I believe we should all be doing that, regardless of what our challenges or difficulties may be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
Well, Silvia, I can't thank you enough for sharing all of your great insights with us. And Breakthrough Success listeners, if you want to stay in tabs with Silvia, you can head over to silviaturon.com. So Silvia and then Turon. And don't forget to get her book, Courage Within You, which is on Amazon. Great read if you're trying to find that strength in the midst of the difficulties around you. Silvia, I really can't thank you enough for sharing all of your great insights. It was such a pleasure to have you on the Breakthrough Success podcast.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for having me. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
How does over 100 retweets per day sound to you? My free ebook, 27 Ways to Get More Retweets on Twitter, has you covered. I use the methods within this ebook to get over 10,000 retweets every single quarter. To learn more and get access to this free resource, visit markgilberti.com/retweets.